defend pretty well. This Gulfview Strikers team, Bradley, and that is what I think is one of their biggest advantage. They defend really well.
Yes, they get back in numbers, and so what they do is allow you to play return passes and not necessarily play penetration passes that puts them behind the defensive unit. And that's difficult to score goals when you have to be kicking past 4 players.
Handed ball that time against Kevon Fagan. Knight has been a very good leader at the back for Gulfview Strikers. Henry Knight has marshaled his troop very well, calling them back in place every time they move out. And you want that kind of talking at the back. They tell you that your defender or your goalkeeper sees the game better.
And that has been his primary role. He stays behind that defensive unit and he instructs his players.
Could they get a consolation? Smith hits it against Knight. Now Alvaranga plays a good ball to Powell. Oh! That was delightful. 6 of the very best. And Gulfview Strikers are making a real mockery of the Red Army. If this is the army they send out, they send out, I tell you what, they wouldn't mind going in a battle against them every time.
Yes, even though it's been demanding, but they have really succeeded in demolishing the Red Army team. 2 players in particular, James and the number 10, Powell, have been really, really instrumental in scoring goals.
Couldn't have been more one-sided. They could get more. It's a deflection. 7 heaven. And Lawrence turns one in via a deflection. This is too easy. And now the coach comes on the pitch. The coach comes onto the pitch, that being Robert James, a player coach, and would only come on if needed.
Well, you know,
or if he could have afforded to.
And Jameses have come on to the field.
Damian James.
Kerry and Damian. And now that the game is won, it's not necessary to have players who can be fighters in the team. You just want to make numbers up now because the game is really finished in terms of a contest.
Oh, his first touch wasn't a bad one. Gulfview could yet add more pain. And Dixon comes across and leans a shoulder on it. Oh, that's a hard tumble. It's not the kind of surface you want to be falling on as well. Well, Damian James almost lost his footing there in making that clearance. Good header away from Lawrence.
I'd have to say that I'm really disappointed with the officiating. The Red Army team has resorted to physicality rather than being smart about making good decisions on the pitch. So they have brought a different mojo to the team, and I don't think it has gone down well with the spectators.
The Red Army certainly haven't given as much as they promised in the semi-finals. They were 2-0 down and they rallied to win it. But here they are down by 7 goals to 0. Deflection corner kick. Here is Dixon. Seems to be a penalty violation. Here's Knight. Can they get a consolation? Dixon tries it. Here is Wilson. Lawrence could make it 8. Lawrence hits the upright.
A nice step over there. Got past the man, but the angle was a little bit cute. When he tried to put it in the goal, it just hit the post and rattled out for a goal kick.
Here is Henry. Henry Knight. Anywhere will do now for the Gulfview Strikers team. They're closing in on the $100,000 prize, plus a couple of Guinness to go along with it, and Gatorades and so on. It has been like taking candies from a baby. It has been very, very easy. And Damian James comes hard. Here's Dixon. Almost pulled it off.
He's trying though. He's trying even though he's been outnumbered. And I think that another thing that is obvious is that the Gulfview team has now themselves determined that they can be as physical as the other team.
Here's Dixon. You fancy him? Oh, he deceived his attacker, but the post stood in the way. Here's Damian James. Chance for another, and there is another. And they move the score up to 9. And it's very, very easy. They make 4 changes to go along with that one. 9.
9-0. You know, there's some places in the States where you're not allowed to beat the opposing team to pulps, yeah?
It just keeps getting better and better. Alvaranga gets on the score sheet as well.
Where after you have scored a certain amount of goals, you're not credited with any more goals after that.
It could be, well, it's 11. They are decimating this Red Army team. And it is Jamali Powell who gets his hat-trick as well. And there goes the final whistle. The Gulfview Strikers are champions of Manchester. They've beaten Red Army by 11 goals to 0. And so they will move on to the national round together like they were from the very get-go, like they are at the end of it, winning by 11 goals to 0.
We watching the game, you knew that you were in a finals because both teams are quality teams. But somehow it would seem to me that the Gulfview team has the prescription. They have been able to, whatever ailments that were obvious in terms of the in terms of the Red Army team, that the Gulfview team would have, you know, taken them to the hospital and put them in the morgue at the same time.
Well, we have Dwayne James here is a hat-trick hero in the final. You came on and you absolutely turned the game around. What inspired you?
It wasn't really inspiration. I mean, we formulated a game plan, which we followed. It wasn't an individual going to do anything. We came up with a great game plan, stayed behind the ball, and then hit them on the counter because we knew they like to keep the ball. But we knew that if we executed what we were trying to do, we'd be successful.
Of course, you started out the day and you were pretty efficient about what you were doing, not flashy and flamboyant. Do you think that might have led to your opponents thinking that you're not as good as you eventually turn out to be?
Yeah, probably. We're not the flashiest team, we're not the most skillful team. We're probably the oldest team here. So it was hard game after game to get the legs going again. But again, formulating a good game plan, sticking to it. Very good players, very intelligent players. And that's the result when you execute a game plan.
A more cerebral approach you think you took to this title?
Well, we had to because we don't have the legs. We have the belly, but we don't have the legs. So we continue to do what we know we can do, and we did well.
All the best going forward.
Yeah, man, thanks.
There have it. Dwayne James came on and scored a hat-trick, and the Gulfview Strikers absolutely just walked away with the title in the Manchester final, winning by 11 goals to 0 up against Red Army, who were very good. They came back from 2-0 down in their semi-finals, Red Army, but this time they ran into a blue wall and they hit head-on and just couldn't manage.
Well, James made it very clear that whilst it is they have a lot more guts than the other team, yeah, they also possessed cranium, some processes that they apparently went through. Their tactical arrangements made sure that they knew that they couldn't compete with the athletic ability of the other team, but they could outsmart them in terms of how they pressure the ball and how they use it after that when they got possession.
And so the hands tell you they need another finger to complete the scoring. By the way, it's 11, and they appeared as if this game was continuing. They would have just kept on racking up the goals.
Yes, because I think that after they had scored some goals, I think the other team knew that it was difficult to get back, so they weren't as competitive after that. And the 1 and 2 players that had some ability were neutralized by the blue team.
And so as we look, we're going to also have a word with the president of the Manchester Football Association. And so you're looking at the champions there of Manchester being decorated.
The champions of Manchester
and Gulfview Strikers raising their Guinness. And in just a few seconds, they will have a check. For this team, I don't think money matters. It's a sweetness of victory.
For a lot of them, it doesn't.
It's a sweetness of victory that they will bask in. And the man from Manchester, that's Dalton Wint, the president, also in the picture.
There it is, the $100,000.
So $100,000 being hoisted.
And it goes